Hi, my name is Elise Thibodeaux and I'm the Clinical Director of Rosewood, Santa Monica. And our alumni coordinator, Lynn, has asked me to speak a little bit about whether or not I believe that recovery is possible. And I absolutely do believe that recovery from an eating disorder is possible. What I would rather talk about is whether or not eating disorder recovery is worth it. And this is something that I'm really passionate about because I myself am recovered from an eating disorder, and I am so grateful for the whole process of recovery. I'm grateful that I experienced my eating disorder. I'm grateful for my recovery process, and I'm most grateful to be recovered now and experience life on the other side of all of that. And so I think one of the biggest joys of recovery is that it's so much more than just a healed relationship with food. Something that we talk about a lot here at Rosewood Santa Monica is that the recovery process is about healing an individual's relationships with food, with others, and with themselves. And I think oftentimes we think about eating disorder recovery as, let me decrease my eating disorder behaviors and learn a healthy way to interact with food, and it absolutely is about that. But I think oftentimes our relationship with food is sort of an image or a mirror of the deeper relationships that we have with ourselves and with others. So, for example, maybe we don't feel worthy of connection, don't feel worthy of love, or don't feel worthy of self-love, and so we then don't feel worthy of food and we restrict our intake, or we force ourselves to exercise as some sort of way to earn some sort of self-love, or perhaps we feel like no matter how much connection and validation we get from others, it never feels like enough to fill the void, and so we try to use food to fill the void, and that's never feeling like enough either, never feeling full, never feeling satisfied. And so the recovery process, when we start to work on the relationship with food and decreasing eating disorder behaviors, it's really shining a light on those other relationships too, shining a light on relationship with others and ultimately relationship to yourself. And that's really what the recovery process is about. That's the crux of it, is healing those three different relationships with food, self, and others. And there's so much self-love on the other side of the recovery process. And I think that's really what makes it worth it. I oftentimes will hear clients having doubts that maybe they won't, for example, like their bodies on the other side of recovery. So maybe that's a question that you might have, is, will I like my body when I'm in recovery? And I think it's really like a lie of the eating disorder, that you can only like your body if you're in behaviors. Because honestly, I like my body way more recovered than I did in my eating disorder, because I care so much more about myself. We often hear that body image concerns are the last thing to go in the recovery process, and I think oftentimes that's true. And it's because that's kind of that deeper relationship of, do I love myself? Do I care about myself? And that's long-term work, and that's very hard, courageous work to really lean into that. But again, it's so worth it to come out on the other side with more self-love and more self-compassion. I don't really like to use the word body positivity. I don't think anyone is super positive and excited about their body all the time. I think I like to focus first on moving from body dislike or body hatred toward body gratitude, and really being grateful for everything that our bodies can do for us. And then from there, moving to body acceptance. So accepting our bodies exactly where they're at in this moment, the good, the bad, the ugly, the imperfections, and really saying, I accept this. This is mine. And then from there, moving to body love. And by love, I don't mean positivity, and I don't mean kind of the extreme of body like, for example. I mean actively loving our bodies, choosing to care for them, choosing to show love, caring for them as we would a small child who's dependent on us, for example. And I think that process, I think, is a hard process to go through, but again, so worth it on the other side. So that's what I have to say about why I believe recovery is not only possible, but worth it. It's a hard process, and I have so much respect for all the courageous souls who go through that process. And if you have any questions, comments, please drop them below, and thanks for listening.